So we have Brett Martin with us, who is the founder of Sonar, and he refers to himself as a serial entrepreneur.
Hopefully not just me referring to myself as that. Okay, howdy y'all. Thank you so much for having me, and I think I'm the last presentation, is that true? No, one more. Okay. Good, then I have some leeway. So quick backstory. I've been building mobile software companies for, I guess, about 7 years now. That was before there was an iPhone. Most recently, built Sonar. It was a multi-million person mobile proximity-based social network. At our biggest, we were measuring the daily movements of 300 million people. So last year, I spoke about how proximity-based sensors and all the data that they were pouring out was going to change the workplace. And this year, when Isabel asked me what I was going to talk about, I actually didn't really know off the top of my head. I had been so sort of knee-deep in building my new thing and thinking about what's next, thinking about how all of these sort of consumer trends that have people like me building mobile software have basically been pushing forward for the past several years, such things like mobile, mobility, anonymity, social, wearables, quantified self. Basically, I've been thinking about how all those things change the way that people work. And then I thought to myself, wait, I should probably just talk about what I've been thinking about, which is how all these big consumer trends are changing the way people work. All these, from communication all the way down to email and news and mundane things like how people network. So today, I'm going to try to give you guys, the best as I can, kind of a whirlwind tour of how sort of consumerization of IT is affecting the workplace. The quick background on consumerization of IT is basically all these sort of ways of building human-computer interactions that we've been doing for frivolous purposes to share what we've ate are now, and what movies we're watching are now coming in to the workforce and changing the software we use for work, which historically has been not so great. But as more and more sort of millennials come into the workforce, they're just less, how do I say it, less willing to engage with software that sucks. So there's a huge trend towards rebuilding basically Web 1.0 enterprise software. And so today I'm going to sort of try to give you guys a tour of how that's happening in your line of work, and with two big goals. Give one, the sort of global view of the breadth, scope of how things are changing right here, right now. And then my one big ask is, try to provide everyone in this room one powerful tool that you can take away from this conversation to improve your lives starting today and the lives of the people you work with. Sound good? All right. OK, so let's kick it. So messaging your friends anonymously and ephemerally. Big thing. Everyone knows WhatsApp. How many people have used Snapchat? All right. How many people have used Secret? OK, we got one. How many people know what Secret is? All right. So everyone knows WhatsApp, 500 million people, more messages sent on the WhatsApp network than on SMS, bought by Facebook for $16 billion with 50 employees. Snapchat, right? Everyone, a couple months before, everyone thought they were crazy for turning down 3 billion messages. Guess what? Snapchat sends more message volume than WhatsApp now. Secret is sort of the latest messaging item in Silicon Valley, and it's basically a way for people to anonymously share with the people in their contacts. So you sign on and you post a message. You say, "Oh, Sonar is going to get acquired," and then your friends see that message. So it's basically a way of speaking freely. But people aren't just speaking freely about what they did earlier that day. They're also speaking freely about who they think should get fired and which companies are going to get bought or go out of business. Probably something people in this room should be paying attention to. So how are these being brought to enterprise? So what CoTap? CoTap is WhatsApp for the enterprise. So their mission is basically what happens when all of a sudden the employees that were historically on the front lines, the people working in the grocery store, checking people out, the baristas in Starbucks, are connected and sharing information with the knowledge workers in the back office? What if you have constant two-way communication, not just from head office sending directives down to the people in the front lines, but people in the front lines immediately reporting what's going on in real time in real life back to the front office so better decisions can be made. Confide is taking one step even past CoTap, which is they're like Snapchat for enterprise. Does that even make sense? So what does CoTap do, or Confide do? They basically enable people to share messages and sort of the back channel information, the type of stuff that you'd historically only have talked about over the phone or in person via text message. So people can't take screenshots. They have to sort of wand over all the messages in real time. So imagine if you had the same freedom of conversation about work stuff as you do in person now via text message. All right, so who's heard of Tinder? All right, OK, and the people who aren't raising their hands, they know they're just not living up to it. So big change in the way people are finding dates now, right? When Tinder came up, it was like, oh, this is crazy. This is just for hooking up. And turns out, now Tinder's got 25 million people. I think they're doing, I think it's something like ridiculous, like 550 million matches a day. 750 million swipes a day, right? And I've done a lot of research in this space, and more people. My girlfriend knows what's up. It's cool. Like, why is Tinder so successful, right? And there's a bunch of reasons why, but part of it is that tons of people are using Tinder that never ever tried online dating because it's just so easy, right? It's just so much more efficient and faster way of connecting with new people, right? It's not just a hookup app. Tons of people are meeting their boyfriends and girlfriends on that. So what happens when you apply that same concept of just making something that was matchmaking that was historically really difficult to recruiting? So full disclosure, Switch is what I'm building now, and it's basically like Tinder for jobs. So we took a very popular consumer concept, which was the ability to quickly say yes or no to potential matches, and we applied it to work. So consumers sign on to a Switch and creates an anonymous profile for them, and it drops them into a bunch of job descriptions for great companies. They basically say yes, no, yes, no. And then on the other side, employers are flipping through little mini resumes. And then whenever there's a match, we put them in touch. So the whole idea is to basically take a process, enterprise process that had historically been onerous, right? Sourcing. Does anyone do sourcing in this room? Couple people. Finding good people is a ton of work, right? But now we're making it as simple as flipping back and forth with your thumb. Hire My Friends, another interesting concept in the recruiting space, basically is anonymous, using anonymity and Twitter. So people are posting that they want to their friends, secretly sharing that they want jobs, and then their friends are sharing out that message with their network. All right, so these are all household names except for Canvas, maybe. I threw that in there because I think it's a really interesting app. Everyone in this room is probably using Dropbox to share photos with their family or friends, or documents that you want to collaborate on. Google Drive. I don't even use Microsoft Word in our office anymore. Canvas is a fun consumer app that memes, right? Like the picture with the words on top of it. All the kids are doing it. They're using Canvas, right? So what happens when you take these type of sort of ease of use technologies and apply them to collaborating in the workplace? So this is just a sampling, just to give you guys an idea of what's happening. SignEasy, if you guys aren't using it yet, it's the easiest way to sign and share documents. Before, if you had a PDF and you only had your mobile phone and you needed to respond to it, like you'd have to go find an office and a printer. I actually now ask people to mail me things so I can open them up on SignEasy and sign them on my phone. Couldn't even imagine that before. Docracy takes it one step farther. Not only is it easy to share and sign documents, it's a community-based forum with a bunch of open source legal documents. So everyone's sharing their legal documents for the good of the community. Quip, brought to you by the former CTO of Facebook. It's basically word processing built for mobile. So I'll tell you this right now, almost all the startups I know, right, are using Quip. They don't even have Microsoft Office suite at all. So share your interests. Obviously, everyone knows Twitter, $19 billion public company, 500 million tweets per day. Pinterest, 750 million pin boards, still 75% women, right? People, new ways of getting what they want out there. How are these being applied to work? So Rebel Mouse is basically Pinterest for business. It takes everyone, the social presence of a corporation, aggregates it, and then makes what they call a social front door. This company is growing like a weed. It's basically a really easy way to get all of your social media content across your channels and put it in one place to display it nicely. Buffer, I kind of think this is like a reversal trend. I would call it the ITization of consumer. So Buffer started as it's a business tool that it basically, with more and more people creating content, right, it's harder and harder to rise above the noise. So Buffer is a tool that instead of using Twitter, you basically put your tweets into Buffer, and then it measures the trends going on and then pushes out your tweet when it's most likely to be engaged with. So this is a business tool that a bunch of consumers are using to optimize their telling their friends about their birthday or what their dog looks like, right? Make sure my baby pictures get shown before your guys. I'm gonna use Buffer. All right. So staying in touch with your friends, obviously, like social media, we all know what's going on here, right? Facebook just bought Oculus. To look a little in the future, Facebook just bought Oculus Rift. You guys who heard about Oculus Rift? All right. So Lawnmower Man, I don't know, any Stephen King fans in here, but basically, virtual reality finally starting to happen, right? They think that Facebook thinks this is the next gen comm platform. Mailbox, mobile first email, right? A better way of everyone's drowning in email. Mailbox makes it really easy to manage. How are these trends being brought over to enterprise? Well, there's no virtual reality enterprise companies yet, but these are some of my favorites. Newsel is basically Google Alerts for everyone in your network. So I don't know if you do any sort of role where you need to know what's going on. I mean, maybe for HR, it's probably a good way of knowing who at your company is in the news, whether they should be or not. For me, it's a good way of staying in touch with my network. Peak, which is this company on the right, it's basically Facebook for Teams. Everyone plugs in all their different services. So Google Business Apps, they plug in their GitHub, which is for engineers. They plug in their Dribble, which is for designers, right? And basically, it aggregates all of the people's activities so you can stay aware about what your team's doing without having to go over and tap them on the shoulder, right? So it's a way of sort of ambient awareness about what's going on with your team using all these network services that we use. And Refresh, this is one of my favorites. Basically, it plugs into your calendar and all of the other social services out there so that whenever you go to a meeting, it gives you a little dossier. 15 minutes before you arrive at the meeting, it gives you a little dossier of the person you're about to meet with. Not just where they worked and where they went to school, but who their favorite sports team is and where they hang out. A little creepy, but powerful. If any of you guys are meeting a lot of people, it's super useful. Okay. How am I doing on time? A couple minutes? 2 minutes. I have to do it right now. Fitness, basically leveraging gamification and community to help people achieve their weight loss and personal fitness goals. This is sort of unrelated in the sense, Oscar, basically, imagine if you had Blue Cross Blue Shield and it wasn't absolutely terrible monopoly. Oscar's trying to make health insurance friendly. And Sherpa is basically concierge medical service for everyone at your company. Imagine if anyone at your company could email a doctor and get some feedback on their belly hurting right now. I will skip this slide because you all know this. I want to end with one thing. Now that I've given you all the hype and all these amazing cool new tools, as someone who's built an amazing cool new tool that was before its time, caveat emptor, I'm sure you guys know this chart. It's the hype cycle. This is all just happening right now. So there's going to be a lot of hiccups. You have to go into it expecting that. So with that, 3 rules of thumb, 3 ideas. 1, start today, because this is happening today. All of these tools that I just presented are live in the market, gaining traction. 2, keep it simple, right? Don't try to overload people with 50 tools at once, and don't try to make the people fit to the tool. Make the tool fit to the people. And at the end of the day, all these new technologies, don't get fixated on the technology. Focus on the people. That's why we're using it. And that's all I got. So thank you so much.